Testing. Oh. Sorry. Yeah. Okay. Are we good to go? So thank y'all for coming to our DFW SEM meeting. I know a lot of y'all are super excited to hear lots about Google My Business this time. We are 17 years into DFW SEM, making us the longest running SEO networking group in the country. This would not be possible if it weren't for a team of people, including our treasurer, Chris O'Connor, Jade Myers, our secretary, our VP of Communications, Jenna Williams, our VP of Hospitality, Amal Haddad, our VP of Membership, Bart Peters, our VP of Sponsorship, Jordan Pearson, and our board member at large, Tim Shane. This also wouldn't be possible without City Central. This is the co-working space that we are networking or that we're presenting from. So if you're like me and have been asked to not go into the office, but you need some time away from home, City Central is a great co-working space, and there are discounts for DFW SEM members. We also need some volunteers. Our big State of Search conference is coming up around the corner. So if you love social, if you know how to write, any one of your talents, we will take them all. So just email us at info@dfwscm. And if you don't have time to volunteer, but you still want to support us, go ahead and like us on social and share our content. We also have some new pricing for the State of Search. If you didn't catch this last time, it's going to be $147 for virtual. We are actually going all virtual this year. So it's a great deal, a great way for you to get 2 full days of live conferencing. And you'll get to hear people like Greg Gifford and Eric Engie, who are going to be 2 of our keynote speakers. And we will be releasing the speaker lineup later on this month. So if you want to get your tickets, go to stateofsearch.org. We also have memberships available. So people who are members of DFW SEM, they save not only on the co-working space, but also for your State of Search ticket. So contact Bart if you are looking to become a DFW SEM member. And then we've also got our job board live. So if you are looking to hire within your company, send us an email and we can post your job live and connect you with some great SEO and SEM individuals. And then if you're watching us virtually, remember that you can turn on the closed captions on YouTube. We want to make sure that we're being accessible for all. Our next meeting, we had him at our 345 talks. Andrew Rittler is coming back, and he is going to talk to us some more because we loved him so much. I believe that he's going to be talking about comedy in marketing. So definitely do not want to miss. And with that, I will hand it over to Lissa Duty, who has so kindly offered to present to us today.
Thank you for that wonderful insights into DFW SEM, Julie. Just give me just 1 second to get situated here. I'm hoping that everybody can hear me okay. Is there a way for them to do a thumbs up?
I have it in my ear, so I can hear you.
Are you seeing my screen, Bart?
Yes, I just got that.
We're good now? Wonderful. I'm so excited to get to talk with y'all today about applying EAT to a Google My Business listing. Now, I know there's a lot of people and a lot of opinions when it comes to EAT. And yes, I am talking about expertise, authoritativeness, and trustworthiness. And if you EAT, for those of you that are not familiar with it online or maybe in person, EAT is a set of guidelines, set out by Google for their quality raters to evaluate a website's relevance for specific search queries. But what we're going to do today is we're going to talk about how you can use the principles of expertise, authoritativeness, and trustworthiness and apply it to your Google My Business listing. And when you do that, you're actually going to help the business listing to appear more often in the local pack, but you're also going to be able to help your website to actually show up in organic also. So really quickly, I want to give you a few details about me. Those of you online that know me, those of you that don't, I started out in social media in 2009 as a social media coach and a speaker and a trainer, branding and marketing strategist. I'm organizer of a digital marketing conference. It's actually called Rocks Digital also. I've actually written 2 books on social media, one on LinkedIn, one on Twitter, and then countless articles, some which have been attributed to my name and many that have not been. I would not qualify myself as a writer necessarily, but I certainly have a lot of opinions when it comes to digital marketing. I'm also owner of Rocks Digital Marketing Agency. Those of you that are thinking Rocks Digital, well, Rocks Digital is a content site. Rocks Digital is a conference. What? It's an agency? Maybe this is new news to you. Well, in January of 2020, I had the opportunity to morph Rocks Digital into a digital marketing agency, a company that I had worked with a very long time, Advice Local. They also had an agency arm, which they dispelled basically and focused 100% on their technology. Well, I got really lucky because they had a book of clients that needed serviced and I had an agency that I was starting. So I inherited some Advice Local's agency clients, and along with that, lots of new ones along the way. So that's a little about me. And so let's dig into why this is important for y'all. So first off, why does GMB even matter? Why is Google My Business important? You know, why is it? Okay, well, first off, 92% of all searches start with Google. Okay, right there. Google My Business, they own it. Hello. Okay. Beyond that, though, 46% of all searches on Google are seeking local information. And by the way, I could not find the source of the first stat. I apologize for that. I looked everywhere for it. I know it was said at one point. But the second stat, the 46%, that actually came from Google. Gary Isles said it on stage at one of the events, and it was like a whole real big deal. So that's a real stat from the mouth of the babe, Gary Isles. I don't mean babe literally, but you get what I'm saying. So this is local ranking factors. For those of you, this might be new to you. Some of them, it might not be. There is a study that's conducted every couple of years. This one was done by Whitespark in the beginning of 2021. And what they do is they do a survey to a bunch of social media experts. And in this survey, they ask them, hey, what do you see that's helping your clients with this? Is it citation signals? Is it content? Is it on page? Is it off page? Well, what I want you to draw out, I'm not going to go into what everything on that chart means, but what I want you to see is Google My Business, 33%. Okay. That is how much out of a scale of 100% that Google My Business is a ranking factor for local. Okay. So if you are wanting to help your local business clients surface in local, then you got to have Google My Business, and you've got to do Google My Business really well. Now, I know you might be thinking, oh, well, I just need to get a whole bunch of reviews from my clients and then they're going to be fine. Well, you're right. Reviews are very important. Okay. Extremely important. I actually swiped this slide, by the way, from one of my partners, Reputation Sensei. So that's why I don't have all the, it's a little bit older stats, but it gets the point across. Okay. The fact is reviews impact consumer trust. It actually impacts your placement in search results, and it impacts click-through to your business website. Okay. If Google doesn't trust you, why would anybody else? That's all there is to it. So let me show you an example of search results behavior. Okay. So right here, as you can see, this query is best dermatologist in Tallahassee. Okay. Now, do you know what happens when somebody adds best when they're running the search? Do y'all know what happens to that? Well, I'm going to tell you what happens. Google displays results that have a star rating of 4 or higher when somebody adds best. Okay. So if you don't have a 4-star rating or higher on your clients' Google My Business listings or your own Google My Business listing, I know we got a mixed audience here, then somebody adds best, you're not going to show up in the local pack and Google Maps and whatever you want to call it. You're not going to show up. That's all there is to it. Okay. And here's some examples of, I thought I had another circle on here. I guess I didn't. Okay. That must be a different slide. It also best will help with some other mention signals, which I'll show y'all a little bit later on. So here's a little bit more about reviews. And I'm not really going to dig into reviews today. I just feel like I cannot ignore them. Okay. Consumers are selective. Okay. So in this study, most customers trust reviews that was in, and it's really hard for me to read it on my screen. It was within 2 weeks. Okay. 40% of people want reviews that are 2 weeks or newer. Okay. 30% within 1 month. And then 70% of the people only care about reviews that have been written within the past 30 days. Okay. So if you haven't getting reviews on a regular basis for your business or for your clients' businesses, then it doesn't matter. Okay. Now, with that being said, there are other ways, and I'm going to talk about a little bit of them today. If your clients don't have a lot of reviews, that you still can help them to surface in maps. So we're going to cover some of those. So let's talk about the benefits of an optimized Google My Business listing. Well, you're going to get higher rankings in SERP. You're going to get more website traffic because you're going to get more click-throughs. That means you're going to get more conversions. You're going to have a competitive advantage of everybody else who doesn't have a well-optimized Google My Business listing. And by all of that, you're going to get increased revenue. Now, notice I have 2 circles on here, okay? One is for the local pack listing for this client, and the other is for organic search placement. Okay, and that is tied to how well his Google My Business listing is optimized. It has moved him up higher in organic searches for his website, but also how well his website is optimized too. I want to be totally transparent about that. I'm not going to talk about websites optimization today, but I am going to include a few tips about the things that make that happen that are related to a website. So let me show you an example of an optimized Google My Business listing. Okay, here's an optimized listing. This is one of my clients. Okay, you're going to notice it has all the items are filled out, and I'm going to walk you through what those are. Okay, but this is an optimized listing. Okay, notice his attributes are completed. Okay, and I'll show you a bigger view for those of you in the room that can't see it real well. You'll see a more detailed view of this in a little bit, but his attributes are completed. They're filled out. Products are added. This is a different Google My Business, and I go through different ones. This is products. Notice that they have graphics. Okay, notice the category section. So we've specifically added different categories for that GMB listing to really take the person on a journey based on what they're wanting. Okay, here's an example when somebody clicks through to a product, what that looks like. Look at that graphic. Doesn't it look great? We did the extra mile and we designed custom graphics for our clients when we optimize a GMB listing. Now, I realize all of you don't have a graphic artist on staff that can do that for you, but you can still use a lot of different tools such as Canva or whatever to customize your images that you're putting on your Google My Business listing. Now, notice at the bottom section of that, it actually shows you other products in that category. So you don't want to just have one product. When you make a category, you want to have several because you want to take the user on a journey, just like on your website. You want to take them on a journey through your GMB listing. The longer you're on your GMB listing, the less time they're on your competitors. So let me show you services. This is an example of services added to your GMB listing. Now, it's really hard for you to see, but it's towards the bottom, and I'll drill in later. I have a closer view for y'all to see that. But services right now do not appear in desktop searches, but they do appear in mobile. Okay, so it's still important. You don't want to ignore those mobile users. Okay, so you want to make sure you're adding your services. Okay, and then here's an example, of course, of reviews. This one has a 4-point star rating, and it has 1,573 Google reviews. Okay, so they have a lot of reviews. Okay, but you want to have reviews also, extremely important. Okay, now here's an example of a business description, and you'll see it at the very top. This is a business description that has been well optimized. Now, of course, there's a lot of studies that say keywords and business descriptions are not necessary, that it's more about the user journey. And hey, that's fine, right? But does it hurt to add some keywords? As long as you don't stuff it, it doesn't do anything. You want to make your GMB listing, your GMB business description, you want to make it tell a story. You want them to know what you do. And obviously, hopefully your services are keyword related. And so you would naturally put them in your business description. Google My Business gives you, I believe it's 750 words for a Google My Business description. I'm just quoting that off the top of my head there, so I could be wrong. Y'all can tweet me if I am. But the fact is use them wisely, okay? Use every one of those. You also want to make sure you're adding GMB post to your Google My Business listing. And I'm not talking about the, oh, hey, I put up a GMB post 3 months ago. I'm talking about regularly, consistently. Now, you might not have a super big budget that you could put up a GMB post every week, but if you can, do it because it is quite helpful. And I have data that I'm going to show you in my presentation that backs that up. So let me show you drilled in a little more about these attributes, okay? So as you can see here, I have a pop-out that shows you the health and safety attributes that have been added to this client's GMB listing, and you can see how that pops out in search. So when somebody clicks into more details, this pops up. I mean, this is visual. This is extremely visual. And there's lots of different attributes that you can add. And I actually have another example of that to the right, such as Black-owned, veteran-led, women-led, and then to the small to the right, you can see what that looks like in search results for veteran-led and women-led, okay? So there's lots of attributes you can add. If you are representing a doctor like this and you select online care, they have this little cute little icon that represents online care in search results, in Google, in the local pack, and in Maps. So add your attributes. It takes very little time to do it, and it has big wins for you. And it's a way for your listing or your clients to stand out in search results. So let me show you more detailed view of these products, okay? So things to know about your products, okay? First off, you want to link each product and or service that you add in your Google My Business listing under the product section. And I know you're thinking, wait a second, I just do services. How can I add that under products in my Google My Business listing? Well, at this point, Google hasn't banned us from doing that, so we might as well do it, right? It doesn't hurt anything. Make sure you use a link to your actual website to that specific product and service, because if they click that link, if they click that learn more, or I was trying to see because my screen's so small here, learn more, I got to get some stronger glasses. If it says learn more, then click it. They want to know about that specific thing, right? Make sure you put a UTM, that's a tracking code, and don't ask me what UTM means. I actually had somebody ask me a couple weeks ago, and I was like, I don't know. I just know to do it. So make sure you put a UTM on your links, okay, so you can track which area of your listing drove this traffic to your site, okay? So here is an example. I told you I would let y'all see services on mobile, so here it is on a phone for you and everything. Again, my channel partner, Reputation Sensei, he did that work. He gets credit for that. And then here's what it looks like when they actually click the services tab on mobile. See how visual that is? I mean, and it just, again, you want to keep them on your listing so they're not on your competition. Okay, so let's talk about Google My Business post. Okay, there's several different times. There's a COVID-19 update. There's an offer. You can add a regular update, which is like a status or whatever you want it to be. You can add an event. You can add a product. Okay. Now, when you add a COVID-19 update, now I've had people tell me, oh, I put a COVID-19 update up on my listing and I just put it up as a regular update. Well, but if you make it a COVID-19 update, then it stands out special in search and has a little wording that tells you that. So make it a COVID-19 update and it stays on the listing a lot longer also. Okay. If you add an event, it'll stay up until the event ends. Now, traditionally, in the past, when you put up Google My Business posts, they only stayed up 7 days and they went away. Well, they never really went away, though. They never really did that like they were going to, right? Well, nowadays, you can actually scroll through those and view the old post. So it's even more relevant to make sure you're putting up Google My Business post. And you can actually add products through here, too, also, but it pretty much goes into the same product category, just an FYI. Here's a couple examples of some updates here. This is an update. And a lot of times when I'm doing writing blogs for my clients, that's one of the things we do at Rocks Digital, I'll make a shortened version of that and I'll put that on the GMB as a post and I'll make that learn more with a UTM tracking link to the actual full post for them to get the whole story. And you can write a summary. That's one approach that you can take with those. And there's just a couple of them here. I want to give y'all a couple of shots. This is an example of where they've just put up a special. And I don't know if y'all noticed the different CTAs. There was a learn more. Here's a call now. You have a whole lot of different CTA options that you can add to your GMB post. A lot of times I will use the learn more option when I'm putting one up, because my goal is to take them to the website. But sometimes a call now might be what's appropriate. Sometimes it might be you're taking them to a download if you're promoting a guide. You know, other things that you can put up as events sometimes is if you're doing a special offer, like, you know, get a free demo of something or whatever, and it's temporary. You can put those up as events too. It's not going to hurt anything. The thing is with Google My Business, you have to try it. They're not going to ban you for putting something up as an event that is like a free demo, for example, of something. Just an FYI. So I want to show you some advanced GMB. I want to show you how to create a UTM, because I have a lot of people ask me that. And so I actually have a screenshot here of a UTM. And what it's showing you is you put your website URL at the very top. And if y'all already know how to create a UTM, exciting for you. Please forgive me. I want to show everybody else that does not know how. Okay. So you want to put your campaign source. Pick what your source wants to be. We like to use organic. This is actually exactly what we use at Rocks Digital on our client listings. When you're optimizing a GMB, you can put the regular website URL. You can put an appointment link. You can put product links. There's different ways and different places that you put links. I have found that I like to customize that UTM to the area of the listing. So whenever I create a UTM, I put organic as the medium because it's organic traffic, right? And then I put the campaign medium because it's coming from the Google My Business listing, and then the campaign name. And that's where I switch it out. And you always have to use the same format every time you create your GMB listing. Otherwise, you'll have they won't actually funnel them together. It's really weird. Just trust me on it. I've learned from experience. So for campaign medium, for the regular website links, campaign name, for the regular website links, I'll do GMB-listing, right? Because I want to see if they've clicked that website link or appointment link. You can even get more specific and do appointment if you want. It's your campaign. Do what you want. I'm just giving you some examples. When I put up a GMB post, I'll change where it says campaign name to GMB-post. So I know that they clicked the site from a Google My Business post. And if you have your tag manager set up, your goal tracking in Google Analytics, all this stuff set up, I can say to my clients, hey, from your Google My Business post, you had 25 conversions. That's why you want to use UTMs. That's why you want to get specific, okay? For GMB products, it'll say GMB-product. Now, I could even get more specific if I want to know exactly which product. I don't necessarily drill in that much with it. I just want to see in big picture if the GMB listing is driving more conversions, GMB post, or GMB products. So I can tell y'all that GMB products, and I'm going to show y'all the whole data of when I started an optimization listing to when I completed it, but I can tell y'all that when I start adding products to a GMB listing, I don't get as many conversions that relate directly to the product itself, but I get a ton of more conversions off of the GMB- listing UTM. So I keep doing it anyway because I get a lot of other benefits. So here's an example of a GMB listing I started the optimization on. So December 8th was the highest point, and this person became my client on December 15th, by the way. On December 8th, the highest point was the prior to any GMB optimization that I had, and that business had received 6 map views and 36 search views, okay, at that point, okay? On January 25th is when I added products. Now, if you look at this, you can notice that you're starting to get spikes around where January 25th would be. You would see that they're starting to get more visibility, their numbers are getting higher, they're starting to get more views, okay? So when I pulled this data on April 13th, they were getting a combined views of maps. And I don't know if you noticed this, but notice in this other scale, the highest point is 100, right? That highest point is 100. Here, the highest point is showing 500, okay? So in one quarter, this listing went from getting 2.76 thousand views in a quarter to 6.18 thousand views. And all I did was add GMB products, okay? And they started getting combined views, that's maps, and search views of 200 per day. I took this screenshot on April 13th, okay? So 3 months after the optimization that I did, okay, in 1 quarter, this GMB listing, and I took this screenshot on June 3rd, as I'm showing here, was getting 12.2 thousand views. Same GMB listing, okay? Remember before I pointed out it was at 100? We're still falling under the 500 mark, but they're getting a lot more views on June 3rd, okay? I actually pulled this data for my conference that I have every year, and I pulled this data on June 29th, okay? And at that date when I pulled the data in 1 quarter, they were up to getting 13.9 thousand views, and specifically listings on search were at 142 and listings on map was 157. For that was one of the highest days. And so I didn't pull the data today, but I'm sure it would be even higher. So that was 3 months after I started adding products, okay, just to give you the benefit of what was accomplished from that, okay? Now, I have a lot more insights data for y'all that I want to share here, and I'm just keeping track of time here. So here's an example. I captured this screenshot on March 9th, and on March 9th, and I cannot remember, honestly, if this is the same listing that I showed you that other data on right now. I'm sure I'll remember in a second. I do think it was. In 1 quarter, they were getting, how customers searched for your business, they were showing up in 2,479 searches. Okay, that was in 1 quarter, okay? I captured this data on April 13th. In 1 month, they were getting 2,912. Doing the math there? 1 quarter, 1 month. Okay, this is again from GMB optimization. Now, for the sake of all transparent, and here is, okay, this is a different one. So I captured this screenshot on June 3rd, and you can see we're up to 3,145. Not a super big jump, but still relevant, still important data. And I actually have all that data for y'all so that y'all can see the reporting timeframes in there, okay? So let's look at another piece of data based on this optimization that we've done, okay? This is customers' actions taken on the GMB listing. This screenshot was captured on June 3rd, okay? Now, I started publishing GMB posts on March 24th, and I did one on April 5th, okay? Prior to that time, no Google My Business post had ever been published. So remember that data I was showing you, March and stuff. I hadn't published any Google My Business posts. All I had done was optimize the GMB listing, put up some services, and put up the products. All I had done, okay? And if you can see here, we started publishing GMB posts. On April 19th, I increased to publishing them every week, and I took this image on June 3rd. So notice this is in 1 quarter. Their total actions on their GMB listing was 1.29 thousand, okay? 1.29 thousand. I took this on June 29th, okay? 1 quarter, 1.7 thousand, okay? Started publishing GMB posts, started doing them every week, and as you can see, these things that I've done have really started driving that listing up. So I really wanted to show y'all how doing that can be really beneficial. So we've talked about products, we've talked about posts, we've talked about services. Did I forget photos? No, I did not. Okay, so you want to make sure you have a company logo. You want to make sure you have it sized properly, okay? Because you don't want your logo to be all distorted and weird and cut off, okay? You want to make sure you do a cover photo. You want to make sure you have location images if the business has a brick and mortar location. You want to make sure you add additional photos, and I'm going to tell you why in just a minute. You can upload videos. Do it. It's a no-brainer. Here's an example of what a GMB listing with a cover photo looks like on on mobile, okay? Here's an example of what it looks like on desktop. And the reason you want to add photos is because Bright Local, we all know who Bright Local is, most likely, they did a study and they found that Google My Business listings with more than 100 images get 520% more calls. And I know y'all can read all this. I don't need to read it to you. But it's amazing, right? 2,717 more direction requests, 1,065 more website clicks than the average business. And I do have the link in there to the source of that if y'all want to check that out. That's amazing, right? And all we're doing is we're adding some logos, a cover photo, some location images, lots of different kinds of additional photos. This listing doesn't actually have any, this one I'm showing here doesn't actually have any videos on it. So let me show you some data, why this is important, okay? So here's some stats. So this screenshot is a time frame from November 14th of 2020 to January 11th. The first photo that was published on this listing was December 14th, And the last photo when I took this screenshot was published on July 11th. So you can see here in this quarter, they're getting about 2.04 thousand, right? That's what they're getting overall views, right? Their GMB listing, their photo views I'm referring to specifically, okay? Now, this is the same GMB listing, and I took this screenshot, even though I didn't put a name, I took a date, I took this screenshot on June 29th. Same GMB listing as before that I showed you, okay? In one quarter, they're now at 8.56 thousand views because we started adding photos, okay? So what kind of photos are we adding? We're gonna talk about that in a little bit, okay? I have some more data for you first, okay? Here is a different GMB listing. Want to be totally transparent. This is a different GMB listing, and we started publishing photos on a regular basis. In a 3-month time frame, we had done 10. Okay, so we were doing about one every week and a half, right? Look at how many views in photos that they're getting, 47.2 thousand views compared to businesses like them, which was 16.4 thousand. And by the way, this was a doctor listing. Not a contractor, not a remodeler, not a flooring person that has all these great photos. This was a doctor, okay? So what kind of photos were we adding on his GMB listing? Well, I don't have any awesome screenshots for y'all. I hate to disappoint you. I should have put that in the deck. Darn it, didn't think about it. I should have. So one of the things, so those of you that have heard me speak before, you know I love to repurpose content. I like to slice and dice. I actually have a presentation where it talks about slicing and dicing. Okay, so we build infographics for this client. He is a doctor. So we build infographics. He's actually an allergist. It's the Dr. Chaco, right? And so I'm not for sure which listing this is from. He actually has 12 that I manage. It's a full-time job, let me tell you. But we create infographics for him for his website, okay? So when I have those built, I have my graphic artist rework those into Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram size, because Instagram is what presents well on Google My Business, okay? And so I have my graphic artist rework them into those other sizes. And I have them slice the sections of the infographic up, put a logo on it, put the client phone number, and then we just trickle those out over the GMB listing over time. Now, I mentioned Advice Local earlier. As I used to work there, I actually use their listing management tools, and they have an awesome Google My Business tool that actually will add XF data, and it'll allow me to schedule the images out through their tool to the GMB listing. So I go in, have my images, upload them, have it add the XF data, whatever kind of metadata I want to add, keywords or whatever I think is relevant, and then I just schedule the images to go out to all the listings at one time. Makes it a lot easier than doing it manually using their tool. And so photos are powerful, as you can see, okay? So I want to talk to you about questions and answers. And no, I didn't forget that either, okay? You need to add questions and answers to your clients' Google My Business listings, okay? And you can actually add them manually. You have to do it through you can't do it through the Google My Business dashboard, not yet at least. You have to actually go to the listing and actually add them manually. And then you can go in and answer them, okay? You need to add them and you need to answer them, okay? Now, what I want to show you here is an example of when somebody goes to a Google My Business listing and they select to add a question, like they're going to ask a question, there's a little box that they can literally type in, and Google has an AI that based on what they type in will actually bring up information in the Google My Business listing that is relevant to whatever question they're asking. So here's an example of when you type in speed of service, then it brings up, based on the AI, it'll bring up this review about Dr. Chaco where it talks about his speed of service. So if you add questions and answers in, that's quite helpful, but they also use their AI too, okay? Here's a example of what are allergy symptoms. If somebody went and asked that question on a Google My Business listing, and it actually is bringing up a post that addresses that. This is a Google My Business post. Review, post. Review, post. You doing the math there? Another reason Google My Business posts are important. Okay, they're using their AI for post and reviews, and I already said that. I knew what I was going to say, so I didn't memorize it. So here's another example of a where you can add a question, and I don't get credit for this, and I hope it works for y'all. I want y'all to watch this. Is it playing? Is it playing? It stopped. Oh, my PowerPoint crashed. It didn't like it. Okay, I'm sorry, guys. Please forgive me. I'm going to stop sharing for a second. That way I don't have to look at that horrible thing while I launch my PowerPoint. Hey, everybody, y'all can see me big right now. So sorry that that happened, everybody. I apologize for that. I don't know why it worked. So my channel partner, Reputation Sensei, he had an amazing video that actually shows y'all that AI working in progress. But I'm assuming based on the fact that it killed the screen that it's not going to work for y'all. And I'm really sorry that y'all are going to have to miss out on that because it's pretty cool. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and start sharing my screen again now. Nice to see y'all. Are y'all seeing my screen yet? Not yet. Okay, let's try this again. Is it working yet? That is what I clicked. Let's see here. Ah, there it is. Sorry about that, guys. I haven't used StreamYard before. I don't know if y'all figured that out yet, but hate to admit it, but this is my first time. Okay, so we're going to go back to where we were at, and we're going to skip this cool feature because it isn't going to work, okay? No way. Did it just do it again? It just did it again. Okay. I apologize. I am going to take a different approach to this. I'm going to share my screen again. Oh, it's still sharing. Okay, we're good. And I apologize for this. And I'm going to start the slide in a different place so that it does not, so it bypasses that video. So we're going to talk about, the next thing we're going to talk about is we're going to talk about your website's role, okay? So when I started this presentation, I said to y'all, well, I'm not going to talk to you about your website, but I'm going to talk to you just a tiny bit about your website, just a tiny bit, okay? So your website plays an important role in your appearing in the local pack and also in organic search, obviously, right? So here's an example that I have circled here of probate litigation attorney. And you're going to notice here that this GMB listing is showing up because their website mentions probate litigation. I like to call these mentions. Some people call them justifications. I really don't know what the official term is, but it's a mention, a justification, no matter what. Google puts these to show the user why that Google My Business listing is surfacing. Okay, so this client is surfacing for this phrase, probate litigation attorney, because they have probate litigation on their website, okay? So here's an example. I went through and I dug out the exact page that was surfacing based off of that. And this is the page. And what I'm showing y'all here is the title tag for that actual page. And you'll see it says probate litigation. Now, I realize Google's doing all these things to our title tags and they're jacking them up right now. But Google, I did actually come out and say title tags are still important. So even though I'm telling you right here, title tags important, Google said it too, not just me. Okay, the URL structure also, as y'all can see here, is very clear that it's litigation probate. We have a lot of different types of litigation he does, so that's why we have that structure that way. Okay, but the page those of you online, it's okay. Sorry about that, guys. Those of you that are online, we had a brief technical difficulty, but we are back with the awesome information. I'm sorry to tell you that you missed what I had to say about Joy Hawkins, though. No, I'm teasing. We stopped. We paused the whole presentation. So what I want to tell y'all, and I don't actually have any slides for this, but Joy Hawkins actually published something, I believe it was about 2 weeks ago, maybe 3, on her website where she does a lot of studies. And she did a study about GMB posts in relation to mentions and justifications and which ones actually help, those mentioned, like the post is Google My Business post actually help a Google My Business listing to surface based on the queries in the post. And her study did conclude that a Google My Business post doesn't directly impact the appearance of that Google My Business listing in Google Maps, post specifically. However, with that being said, she specifically said she did find that website mentions do influence the business surfacing in local pack. So what I'm telling you, and the awesome Joy Hawkins, you know who she is, she's great. She is telling you too that website mentions do impact the Google My Business listing appearing in maps. And that's what I want to tell you all about that. Joy actually did a study also, and I meant to mention this earlier, and I failed to mention it, and I apologize for that. I'm going to backtrack since we're talking about Joy for a second. She did another study about how people respond to Google My Business posts based on the different kinds of Google My Business posts. I don't remember the exact results on that, but the one thing that really stood out for me that Joy said that I felt was really, really powerful was the fact that images that have text on them, people seem to respond to those more than just putting up a regular image. So that is something to think about. And I don't have the links for those studies, but they are really powerful. And you can go to Sterling Sky and see both of those. Yeah, sterlingsky.ca. And you can see both of those because they're both very interesting. She actually did the one about GMB posts. She presented that data at her local U, not the one they just had, but the one before. And I was on there and learned some awesome stuff. I think you were there too, Chris. You remember me talking about it, huh? So the next thing we want to talk about is location pages. And this, again, is on your website, okay? But you want to make sure, because this also impacts, and you want to send a signal to Google that says, this business is at this address. You want to validate that. So you want to make sure you have location-related keywords, and you want to have a location page on your actual website, okay? So here's an example of that. Further down the page, you can see that we actually have a map, their full business address, their names. I have a joke here, NAP, map, local business schema, okay? You got to make sure you have those on your location pages, and you want to make sure you have the location keywords in relation to your products and services throughout the page. Here's an example of that. They practice family law. These are service keywords, personal injury, and again, we have more location keywords. So these are very important, okay? And you'll see them within the content too. These are very important to help your Google My Business listing appear in search related to your business address. Here's another example of just some on-page strategies, adding keywords in your supporting headlines, closing headlines, etc. These things are very important. Along with that, and I don't have anything to talk about it here, but you want to make sure that you have all the appropriate schema markups, such as FAQ schema, local business schema. Example for the doctor, we have medical schema. For this attorney, we have legal schema. So you want to make sure you have all the schema markups that you can possibly put on a website for a client. Okay? So this presentation was about EAT. Did you hear anything about EAT? I might not have mentioned the word EAT, but I sure talked about EAT, didn't I? And I talked about how you can add expertise to your Google My Business listing. If you add expertise, then you're going to start building authority. And when you build authority, you're going to build trust, right? And that's what it all comes down to. And so you got to have EAT. And I do want to thank Advice Local, because these are their actual graphics. They actually have a PowerPoint that they created about how to apply EAT to a Google My Business listing. I may or may not have conducted that study. So you need to look at that if you want to know more about how to apply EAT. They actually have a new tool that they came out with that's a Google Authority Score. And it takes a combination, and it's a score that Advice created the algorithm for it themselves. It's not like Google made it, right? But it takes how active you are on a Google My Business listing and all the things that you're leveraging, such as reviews, posts, etc. And it comes with the score to help the business understand how well they're doing And that's, of course, why we produce this awesome piece of content around that. And I do actually they have a guide for it also. I may or may not have something to do with that too. But there's also a link if y'all wanted to access their guide and download it. It's really powerful, and it walks you through why it's important and how to really leverage a GMB listing to do that. So what are the results of EAT? Do you remember when I showed this screen to you earlier? Okay. And I said, pay attention to this. Well, here it is. Same screenshot exactly. The doctor is in the low pack and he's in organic. And the things that we've done are the things that I've presented to you today. Not trying to pitch y'all or anything at all, but this is who Rocks Digital is now, just to give you a glimpse into that for those of you that are not familiar with that. If any of y'all would like to have a download, this is totally free. It doesn't even ask for your email address. This is just a bit.ly link. It's just something I had created. If you want to do an audit on your online presence or on one of your clients, or you want to share this resource with them, feel free to do so. And with that, does anybody have any questions for me? Thank you. I hope that was informative.
It was very important.
I see we have one right here. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so regarding the law firm and the probate law specific to Collin County, you did talk about that you did a lot of local business schema markup on
Right.
the website itself.
Right.
Did you also use schema same as markup and refer over to like a Wikipedia page that talks specifically about probate law, or was that not?
No, I did not do that. That is a great idea, though, but I did not do that. So to repeat her question for those of you online that might not have heard it, she was wondering, we were talking about the probate law firm, she was wondering if I used same as schema to point to a Wikipedia page in order to help add that authority, which I did not do that, but that is a great idea. So thank you for that. Yes, Chris.
Okay, so I understand how important reviews are, and I
Right.
tell my clients all the time how important reviews are, but I've got one client that says, I don't want anybody to review me because I'm afraid that my competition is going to steal my business. How do you deal with that?
That is an interesting. So Chris's question is, and I'm going to try to say it properly, is she has a client who doesn't want to get any Google My Business reviews on their listing because they're concerned that their competitor is going to steal their business. And I'm assuming that's because they're going to see the person's name that gives the review. Okay, first off, okay, that's an interesting one. So I'm trying to think of a very kind way to say that besides telling them to take a long walk off a short pier.
Kind of already said that.
So
Because, you know, obviously what I told him is that you're not very confident with your sales.
And that's what I was going to say, because if they're providing a quality service, if they're doing a good job and they're providing a service that's above everybody else, if they have a happy customer, why would that person leave them for somebody else they've never been to before?
Well, his response to me on that is, it's a niche market, it's a small market, which it is, and they have budget cuts. So if they can save $10, they'll jump to somebody new to save $10.
Well, and they certainly could do that, but do you want customers like that? That would be my counter question to them is, do you really want that kind of customer? But the one thing that I would say to your client, and I've actually said this to clients because one of them they're like, my listing's not showing up. Well, you have 3 reviews and the last one was 3 months ago. Hello, I can take them to the lake. I cannot make you drink, okay? So the thing is you have to say to them, this is what it comes down to. If you want your Google My Business listing to show up in the local pack above your competitors, I can do everything I can to optimize it. I can add products, I can add posts, I can add services, I can do all these things. But I'm doing my job. You have to do your job. It's a two-way street. So I've done everything I can. If you don't want to get reviews, don't get them. Your listing's probably not going to show up. I'm just going to let you know now. And that's exactly, and if I had a few customers listening, I don't have any, but they would be like, she's talking to me. Because I've told them that. Because the fact is you can't twist their arm, but you cannot make their Google My Business listing show up if everybody else, all their competitors, have better reviews than them. 2 listings that are equally optimized, both got equal websites, but this one has a bunch of reviews. Well, bye-bye to the one that doesn't. And that's all there is to it. I know it's not wanted you to hear, but it's the truth.
No, it is very true, and I've tried to explain this to him over and over. So this is a battle that we keep fighting and going back and forth, and you know, I mean, it's
I've
just a challenge. So,
yeah, I've done what I can do, and that's what I would leave it at. I have done everything I can do. It is up to you to do your part. I will continue to do my part. I'm hoping that you do yours because I want your listing to show up higher in maps. Makes me look good, makes you look good. I know what I'm doing is working. So do people have a way to ask questions online, yay or nay?
I've been asking them if they had any.
And well, for all of you online listening to my presentation, if you don't have any questions, I'm so glad that you know everything about Google My Business. That is awesome. I want you to come present. No, I'm teasing.
Okay.
There is so much about GMB. You can never know all of it.
Here's one. What do you do if your client doesn't have any photos?
Well, you get very creative with it. And that is a very good question. And that's actually an example I use because I have a doctor. Well, patients are not going to give you their pictures, right? And that's honestly one reason that we do the infographics is so we can add those to the GMB listing to get those photo views. And so you just have to get creative with it in order to make it happen. I'm not saying to you get stock images because Google does not like that. You know, get business images of their business. Actually, that same doctor client, I've talked to him multiple times about get your staff to, you know, because you don't always want all the photos to be uploaded by the business. You want other people to upload them. So have your staff upload some photos if they feel comfortable with it. You know, maybe the holiday decorations, or you got a new sign, or you got some new branded swag or mask or whatever in. You can post those. It's completely acceptable. It's related to the business. I mean, and their photos.
can I add to
Sure.
that? So there's a client that I know that has a brick and mortar business, and doctors can do this too. If a client comes in and let's say that they had a really good health report, or I don't know, something victorious happened, before they leave, you can take a picture with them and the doctor, them and the whatever, a thumbs up or whatever, and you can post those kind of pictures. So also, if you have the client post them, you actually get a lot more views than you do if you post them.
Right, absolutely. Yeah, and so what Chris is saying for those of you online is an idea for a doctor or for service-based business, or it can work for any kind of business, is to, when somebody comes in and you have a satisfied customer, have them take a picture with the owner, with staff, or whoever doing a thumbs up, and post those on the GMB listing. And if you can encourage them to post, the customer to post them, you'll even get more views. Now, I can't prove that data. We're going to have to go to Chris for that data. Chris, we need to see some data on that. But Chris says, and I'm sure she's seen that from watching it happen, actually. I just was teasing. Chris says that if the customer uploads a photo, you actually get even more views. So that's something to think about. You will need to make sure, if you're doing that, that you get the proper permissions from them and they realize how you're going to be using those images and that you're going to be posting them online and on Google My Business. And that's another advantage to having them put them up themselves, because you don't have to worry about a permission because they did it themselves, so they granted the permission.
So I want to add one more, if you don't mind. Video, right? We talked briefly about the video. Video, you can only have about a 30-minute video up there. It can't be very big.
Right.
But it's a perfect opportunity for, they did a great job.
Testimonials, absolutely.
Big time. I mean, because most people don't take forever to make a testimonial. And I'm telling you, they work like a charm.
Yeah. Video testimonials are amazing to add to GMB listings. I have not personally been doing a lot of that for the ones that I've been optimizing, because a lot of times I can't get the customers to give them to me, but video testimonials are amazing and really helpful also. Actually, one of the doctors, the doctor that I was showing y'all, he actually has been making these question videos, like just random allergy questions that people have been asking them, and putting them on his Facebook. And all of those videos, if I could get the file, would be also added to his GMB listing, because those are powerful and they're answering specific allergy questions and they're really short, minute to minute. And so they work for that too. Any more questions online, Bart?
Any more questions here?
Anyone here? Thank you so much. I hope y'all enjoyed my presentation, those of you in person and online. I actually, just a little tidbit really quickly. So this is actually the third time I've ever actually presented on Google My Business. Most of y'all that have heard me speak before have heard me talk quite a bit about social media, LinkedIn, other types of things. Y'all might not have realized that I was a behind the scenes quite knowledgeable in SEO. I just focused on those other things, but I really am pleased that I got to talk with y'all about applying EAT to a GMB listing today. So thank you so much for that, and y'all have a great day. Do y'all want to